Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. Therapists of Reddit, what was your biggest I know I'm not supposed to judge you but holy sh** *T moment? Okay, real therapist here. I got one. Some of my clients are shockingly bad at giving themselves credit, holy shit. Like they might get a nearly straight A GPA in a brutal major while battling depression, or overcome years of phobia and get behind the wheel again, or write a literal novel, or raise a kid as a single parent with low income, or build new relationships after being burned, or cope with OCD well enough to hold down a job. And they'll talk about themselves as if everyone on earth is better than them, as if their accomplishments are worthless. And I know it's because of depression or anxiety or another condition, but I'm often stunned by how differently I see them compared to how they see themselves. This needs more attention. I came here for juicy stories and ended up with an empathy punch to the gut. Our Wednesday on Reddit. It is Wednesday, my dudes. I work in mental health and have worked in acute and crisis settings for the majority of my career. The most notable event I experienced was when a young person had presented with significant ongoing suicidal ideatio who was dealing with a lot of shit. I spent a lot of time with them, mostly de-escalatio and working out what the plan should be moving forward. One of their parents came in a little while later and I had the opportunity to speak to them about where their child was and what had been going on, with their consent of course. Midway through me trying to explain some of the psychological constructs and ways the parent could help, they said to me, "Is this going to take much longer? I have a show to go and watch." All I can say is, I never judge my patients, I have never walked their path or viewed the world through their eyes. But the people around them who perpetuate the suffering of the people I work with through ignorance, malice and selfishness, I judge them. Edit and a shameless one. I've tried to reply to as much as I could. I've enjoyed some of what I would assume is trolling and talking about some other people's experiences as it's given me a chance to reflect on some of my own stuff. But I must go to bed. I'd like to ask one thing of anyone who reads this: remember that you can help, even just by asking how someone is or wishing them well. People who you think may be struggling and even people who aren't. This year has been hard on us all, and I appreciate all of you who have said that those in care services have difficult jobs, but we have all struggled this year. Please be as kind as you can to each other and I hope we can all look forward to a good December and even better New Year. Edit 2. My use of the word judge needs some clarification. I do judge in some ways. It's hard not to with what I see, who I work with and the situations they experience or have experienced. What I mean by not judging is that I do not allow my judgments to distort what I am seeing or how I am working. Which will normally be to the benefit of the patient and those around them, trying to help them achieve their goals and meet their needs. Final edit. I didn't think this post would get as big as it has. And I cannot respond to every comment individually by any means. I'm sure the post will be getting less attention moving forward, but I just wanted to clarify some things. This parent, who many people have made multiple assumptions about, was not trying to redirect, deflect or remove themselves from the situation by stating they had a show to watch. The show being something else people have assumed was a TV show. Remember, I've made the comment above in the context of a situation that lasted around 5 to 6 hours for me, but took you a few minutes to read. With everything that's going on right now, I wanted to make this post to let people know. Those working in mental health have heard a lot. We don't judge you for how or what you're feeling and we want to work with you to help you. I simply wanted to help in some way with a comment on the internet that I wrote in one go about an experience I have had. I know that the response to this has been overwhelmingly positive, but I would also like to say I did not mean to cause any offense or upset to anyone or claim that I am some sort of unachievable goal of non-judgment. Anyway, I'm going to try and forget about this now. Well, some people just shouldn't have kids. 100%. Not everyone is made to be a parent. During my training I was asked, how would you feel if a client were to come to you and admitted they were a pedophile that was on the edge of committing seriously horrific acts? Could you see that person as another human being that needed help, or were your personal feelings about the abhorrent behavior too strong? This factor leads some people to not continue my course on to the next level, but it really illustrates the level of non-judgment needed in this field. We all have our own personal feelings, of course, but these get talked about in supervision. Edit. Well, thanks for the awards. I'm glad it's raised an interesting topic for discussion. I'm enjoying reading them all, even if I don't have the time to reply. Personally, in this instance I remember the Gandhi quote, hate the sin, not the sinner. Also spelling. Pedophiles are a great example for whether you're cut out for this field or not. I've thought a lot about this and have worked with a few, but was able to view them as people having severe psychiatric troubles from trauma they've endured. That being said, the people I worked with were expressing extreme remorse. I know that working in this area could never be my specialty, and I refer clients out because I would have to work through too much of my own feelings about their actions. As the child of a convicted pedophile who died in prison, I can attest to the fact that most people get off on how much they hate pedophiles and don't bother thinking any deeper or engaging any more than that. It's a hard thing to love someone or give them the support and help they need. It's exactly because my father couldn't talk about it or get any help without judgment that the internal struggle / compulsions evolved into external actions. But nobody wants to talk about that, and everyone just wants to blame them for being born with / handed this problem. Obviously your actions are your own and you're accountable for them, but it's useless and self-serving to take that fact and turn it into a smug blame game, without ever envisioning a future where these people don't harm others and figuring out what role you play in that future. I talked about this with one therapist I know. He said he felt sorry for one pedophile. He didn't committed any crime, but the attraction was there, but also there was that mental struggle, which he was trying to control, and fear of failing, so he sought help. Therapist here. To piggyback on what others have said, it is highly unlikely for me to have moments where I judge my clients. It happens sometimes, but I'm able to shut down those thoughts quickly in my head and return to being present for the people I see. People are so incredibly complex that my judgment wouldn't have any meaning anyway, and it doesn't have a place in our work together. I will admit though, something that does get me feeling a little salty is when I have a client's parent that attempts to sabotage the therapeutic relationship I have with their child, or pulling them out of therapy entirely when some of the things we talk about challenges some potentially unhealthy family dynamics. I don't feel anger toward the parents, mostly I feel bad for the kid. Edit. Well, all I have to say is that I am incredibly humbled by all of you that have shared your stories. Even though these moments are so steeped in pain, what hits me is the incredible amount of strength present in spite of the upbringing and parents many of you have had. My God, it's like you're describing my mother. She let me go to therapy a grand total of 2 times while I was depressed and suicidal at 17. The second time the therapist asked her to come in to talk to her about how I was feeling, and she started crying to him about how my feelings made her feel sad and how much it affected her. I never even cried in my sessions. Then he told her she might like to consider letting me go out with friends more and have a better social life, and then she took me home and told me I manipulated him into saying that to her. A few weeks later I tried to commit suicide, and her response was to take me out of therapy and off the medication because in her mind that was what caused my episode and not her and my father being pricks to me. Edit. Jesus Reddit. I did not expect all these replies. I am totally out of this situation and do not live with or speak to my parents anymore. I cut them off relatively recently and am working through it, but seeing the outpouring of stories, kindness and love in this thread has truly made me feel heard and validated for the first time that she really was as bad as I remembered. Thank you for that. Also wanna say, if any of you guys need to talk, my inbox is open. I can't reply to every single one of these, but know I'm reading all of them and that I hope you're all better now. You deserve unconditional love and kindness. Fucking hell. Sorry to hear that, mate. I hope you're doing a bit better now and don't live with them anymore. I don't like people diagnosing others over the internet, but that sounds an awful lot like narcissism to me. When I was underage, I got caught with a drink on Bourbon Street and got a minor in possession. I was telling my therapist about it, and said that the police caught me with a hand grenade in New Orleans. He didn't realize that a hand grenade was a type of drink, and it was funny to watch him try to process that his patient might have just casually told him that he had been caught with a fragmentation grenade. He took a big long pause, and said, "Where did you even find a grenade?" I realized the misunderstanding quickly and corrected him. But for a moment he definitely was thinking, holy shit, how do I deal with this? At last I have a similar story. So this was back when I was in my first year of engineering study and I just thought that the materials paper was the shit. I especially liked the whole steel section, and at the time my depression and general situation wasn't amazing, so it was one of the things sort of keeping me going, you know. So of course when my therapist asks about my passions and goals, I said, well, I like steel. And she paused and said, okay. What do you like about stealing? This poor woman thought I had pulled out some surprise kleptomania late in the game. Luckily, like a good therapist, she was non-judgmental but still obviously relieved when I corrected her. Steel is fucky great, buddy. I too am the nerd that likes learning about metallurgy and steel compositions. I was reading a bit about nitrogen steel recently, and that stuff is pretty cool. Edit, shout out to you /tint_snob for providing the link to a kick-ass website where you can learn this stuff.